Welcome back to me screaming. So today we are starting a reading vlog, and these reading vlogs are going to be a little bit different, but don't worry. Before I get into this, I'm going to explain how this reading vlog is going to be a little bit different. So I work now. I work a full-time job. I'm not going to be able to marathon read this book like all night long like I would like to, but I'm going to start my reading vlog now. And if you don't know what book I'm talking about A Court of Silver Flames. And I asked my mom earlier, I said, can you look on the Amazon app and tell me if this is what's in this box, because this is mine, like what was delivered. And she said, yeah, it was the book. So then I got really excited because today's the 15th. So this wasn't supposed to be here until the 16th, which usually is not allowed. Like, I'm not supposed to have this book. I feel like I'm doing something wrong, but Amazon delivered it. And if it's not the right book, you'll see me cry. But I also am slightly annoyed with Amazon because it said it was going to come tomorrow, and so I was like, oh, I'll buy the Kindle version because I want to read it tonight at 10 p.m. when the Kindle version comes out. Well, now I have both. And I have the audiobook because I saved my Audible credit for the audiobook because I like audiobooks. And I like to listen to them at work. So that's a thing. So now I have like ample different things. Okay, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh! Am I crying? I'm so happy. Like, ooh, let's see what. Ooh, she's orange underneath. Oh, what does that mean? Why is this one orange? You don't know. Like, I'm crying right now, and I shouldn't be crying, but like, you don't understand how much Nesta means to me and how much Nesta's story is gonna mean to me. And I have a lot of high expectations, and I know I'm gonna love it because I already oh my gosh, I just saw the dedication. It says, for every Nesta out there, climb that mountain. Nesta means so much to me because she's so much like myself. A lot of her coping mechanisms I've used in the past, and I see myself in Nesta, and I see the harshness that is Nesta in my own way. So I'm really, the fact that it says for every Nesta out there is really important to me. But I'm super excited. Ooh, we have a map. Anyways, as I go through we have a map. I already read 6 chapters of this, because they were released and I had friends send them to me. So if I've already read all of these 6 chapters, I'm just going to, yeah, I'm pretty sure all those 6 leaked chapters were, yeah, they're exactly like. So I'm just going to skip those 6 chapters because I literally read them earlier this week. And then I'm going to go straight into chapter 7. This is spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, I would get out my book reviews when they're like this. Do contain spoilers because I like to, you know, get all my emotions out and have them captured. But I will give you a recap of kind of my thoughts on chapter 1 through 6. Nesta has a lot of trauma. We already know that. And you're really seeing her trauma through her eyes. Another thing is I don't like the inner circle right now. The inner circle, really not the finest fan of the inner circle right now. I think that Feyre is making this about her. Sees this money that she spent, and yeah, it's a lot of money, but she's making it about her. It's about her image. It's about Reese's image. It's about, you know, all of this stuff. And like, I get it, but at the same time, like, really get wrecked, Feyre, because you should care more about your sister than what your image is. So there's that. Next thing is Cassian is horny as hell. And Cassian's a little bit on my nerves. I love the man, but like, he's described more as like having a beautiful face, and then Nesta being like something he's ready to devour, and I'm like, why? Like, why are we describing her like this? Because, like, I get it, but, like, at the same time, shouldn't you think Nesta's, like, this beautiful creature, too? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And Reese can literally, we're fighting. Put me in the ring. Me and him are going hand-to-hand combat. I'm bringing my metal chair, WWE style. That man is annoying the crap out of me. Also, can we just talk about how Feyre tells Reese to stay out of the conversation with her and Nesta, and he jumps in and she is like, I'm gonna reprimand him, but her reprimanding is just them screwing. Like, oh yeah, that's really helpful, Feyre. Is that how all your arguments go? Because that's weird. I really don't like how Feyre and Reese's entire relationship has just become like a smut fest. It's not my favorite, but maybe that's just through Nesta and Cassian's eyes. But yeah, I'm super excited. It's here. I can't believe it's in my hands. Like, I can't believe this book is in my hands.
But I'm gonna dive into you, and maybe I'll drown, but what can I do? And it would be alright to let me down. Rather we try than let these feelings slide. So I'm gonna dive into you.
It doesn't even make sense why we try to fight it. Every time that we touch, the room caught on fire. We could blame it on the wine, but we know that we will both be lying. I wish I didn't want you. I was doing just fine the way that it was.
100-page update. Well, 106. I'm on chapter 9. I think there's like 80 chapters in this. And it's like an 800-page book, which makes me think that this is a standalone. Like, we're not going to get another, like, we're not going to have like 3 Cassian Nesta books, which I'm okay with if this is like their story all wrapped up. I'm okay with that. But I'm also okay with it being more. So here are my thoughts. 1, Cassian and Nesta are hilarious, and I think Azriel is a third wheel in the best way possible. Like, he just has to deal with their like constant like bantering, and he like throws in his own banter, and I love that. I feel like we're really seeing Azriel's personality in this book, rather in the other books he was just kind of like that brooding shadow singer, which was cool, but like I like to see Az's personality. Another thing, Nesta is me. When training, she set herself on that rock stubbornly, and I was like, I feel that. I don't know what Nesta is in like the astrology signs, but I feel like that is such a Taurus trait, and I'm like, girl, I feel that. What else happened? Oh, the queens, Brylan, I think, and that the bone carver's brother. I forgot to mention that in my theories video, but I knew the bone carver's brother was going to be like one of the main antagonists because they had like set it up in the other books. I hadn't gotten to that part in my reread at the time, but I'm truly enjoying this book so far. I really love Nesta and Cassian's banterness. It's not so much, I thought it was going to be very hateful at the beginning, and like really like Nesta was going to be super like hateful, but I don't think that's not how it's going. I just am really enjoying it, and I can't wait to get to more. I don't know what time it is at the moment. I want to try to read as much as I can tonight. I have the Kindle version and the audiobook for tomorrow at work, and then if I can't update like during my lunch break, I will come home and like update you in like a long form note taking version. I've been like jotting down like random notes to remind myself what to talk about with you guys. So yeah, check back in with you when I have more thoughts, but I'm Nessie and trash, and I'm okay with that. Okay, oh, you can't see me. There we go. I'm going to update you on my way to our other building at my job. I have to go over here for something else. But, oh my gosh, I'm on chapter 26 of ACOSF. Is that what we're calling it? ACOSF? Court of Silver Flames. And liking it. Like, I really do love it. I don't know why I made that face, but there are some things that I'm not the biggest fan of. One of them is I feel like Casa and Nessia's whole relationship is just so sexually driven, and I'm like, bro, chill out. Like, part in the, you know, story, and to make Cassian feel better, she has to do a sexual act, and I don't know, maybe that's just me, I don't really like it. I'm gonna go into like detail about like what I like and don't like. I have a whole list that I've been taking at work while I've been listening to the audiobook. But I really love Nesta's character and her development as she goes. But I just love this book. I feel like I'm not done with it, so I can't give like a full opinion on it, but so far I'm really liking it. 26 chapters in, loving it. I think we have 80 chapters, so I'm like not even halfway done with it. I still have like 15 hours left in this audiobook, but I will talk about like all my points at home when I get home from work, because I have a lot of them. Love Nesta, love Cassian. They're both flawed characters, and I think that they are going to be just magnificent in the end of the story, and I'm really enjoying it. So this is horrible lighting and my camera's gonna die, but I have to say I'm in love with Azriel and his sass. He's just perfection. Yeah, that's all I have to say for now. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna actually read the book now instead of listening to it on audiobook, but I've been enjoying both ways of consuming this book. So yeah, I'm in heaven with this novel. So let's go and read some more ACOSF, A Court of Silver Flames. I don't know what to call it. Hello, I am back from work and I'm ready to talk about all my thoughts from today's reading. I am on page 404, chapter 39. So we have a lot to go over, and a lot has happened in this book. I've been really enjoying it. I love the audiobook, and I think that just listening and reading at the same time has been really, really helpful. Where those orange hearts start, this is my list of things to talk about. So I'm just gonna kind of go over everything. I might not go into detail with each of them, but I wrote down the points that I like really enjoyed in the book, and I wanted to go over them, so I had them documented. So first thing is, I was my mother's creature. When Nessa said this line, I was like, oh my gosh. Feyre was like nothing to her mother. Elaine was the pretty one, and Nessa was the firstborn and bred to be her mother. And I had talked about this in my theories, and I just continue to see that their mother is a sore subject, but to Nessa, her mother was like, she just held her at a standard that I don't think Nessa should have been held at as a child, and that really hit home. So let's talk about Mr. Tamlin himself. He's stuck in beast form, or he's staying in beast form, and just like destroying the spring court. Like, you know, a vibe. And I guess Rhys and Lucien go and visit him and try to get him out of this like depression, anger. I don't know what to describe it as. But Tamlin is gonna lose his mind, because there's also Faysand baby, and I'm over here like, Faysand baby, Faysand. Like, we already knew that this was going to happen, because if you read Kingdom of Ash, Aelin sees Feyre, but I didn't realize it was so close to like the timelines. So yeah, I already figured that this was gonna happen. I actually thought we weren't gonna see the pregnancy. We were just gonna see the end of the pregnancy, or like the beginning of the pregnancy, one of those. But yeah, and she can't like do anything, and Rhys is just being a protective ass in his mate way, and I'm just over here like, I would beat the living crap out of Rhys if I was Feyre. I didn't realize Nesta was 25, and that means a lot to me, because I'm gonna be 25 this year, and I don't know, I am Nesta. It's just a thing. I am Nesta in my mind. Oh my gosh, can we talk about her inner circle? I love Gwen and Emery. Gwen deserves the entire world and then some. Her backstory is so, it's so tragic, and it's so obvious that bringing her into this training is helping her trauma even just a little bit, and I think that's really important. But I love Gwen. I just, she's baby, and I'm just like, I want to hold you, and you'll be fine, and I love you so much. I love Emery too, but I think Emery is a stronger character. She leans more towards like a warrior character, and she doesn't need to be coddled. So, but I do love Emery as well. I love that the house ships Cassian and Nesta. I think it's very funny, and I love the house and how it has a personality. It reads smut, and that is so, I want a house like that. Can I live in that house? I really enjoyed learning about the Blood Rite and the Bat Boys' past, and just kind of all of that. I think the Blood Rite is going to come into play in this book. I don't know how. I don't know if the Blood Rite is going to be a thing, but I could see Nesta, like, being in the Blood Rite, or like getting stuck in the Blood Rite somehow. So let's talk about like the Archeron sisters as a whole. We obviously know Feyre and Nesta never really had the greatest relationship, and I think their mother really pitted them against each other, and then as, you know, she died and her father fell out of fortune, I think that animosity towards each other just grew, and I don't think that either of them know how to fix it, and I feel like it's starting to be fixed. It's starting to be better. I just think that even if they don't want to admit it, they're a lot alike each other in certain aspects, and I think that drives both of them insane. But Elaine and Nesta have conflict in this, and I am not upset about that. I think that Elaine is coddled by the inner circle and by everyone in her life, and she has been for her entire life. And I think that we're finally seeing Elaine be something and stand up to Nesta, but at the same time, Nesta had a point when she said that Elaine had the ability to heal from the cauldron, and she said no one suggested you shape up or be shipped back to the human lands, and Elaine throws back at her like, well, I wasn't doing what you were doing. And I was like, whoa, why are we pitting each other against each other and comparing how we deal with what happened, and why are you judging Nesta so hardly for what she did? Like, the slut shaming, it's not there for me, Elaine. And I also really enjoy Cassian, how Cassian bothers me, and I love him to death. I think it's something to do with him being the High Lord, Rhys being High Lord. But anytime Nesta gets pissed off and says something about Rhys and makes a snippy remark, he snaps at Nesta. But when Rhys starts going at Nesta and doing like his stupid overprotective nature and just being an utter ass, Cassian goes at Rhys and he says they have their own shit to sort out. You threatening to obliterate her every time it's brought up isn't helping in regards to Feyre and Nesta, and that's like so true. I get that Rhys is Feyre's mate, it's a whole thing, but at the same time, you need to calm down. You need to let them sort it out. You are not involved in this. This has nothing to do with you. So you need to back up, Rhys. I also am really glad that Nesta has acknowledged that she doesn't have to compare her healing to Feyre, Moore, Azriel, Rhys. She tells Cassian that much. She doesn't have to compare it. She doesn't want to compare it. And I don't think you should ever compare your healing journey to someone else's. And I feel like the inner circle does that a lot. Whereas, like, they just expect her to heal like Feyre healed. But she is her own person and she shouldn't have to. So now we have these 3 objects we have to find. The mask, the harp, and I can't remember the other one. But those are like the 2 that they've talked about. They found the mask. That was scary. It gave me Aelin vibes in Kingdom of Ash. I was like, we're not going to be able to take this mask off. And then I was like, is this from Kingdom of Ash? But also, the harp opens realms. Like, can we all say Terracin together? Terracin. Let's go to Terracin. Or let's realm jump. And in that meeting, Feyre had the audacity to ask Nesta what happened in the cauldron. Like, where do you come from? Get off of your high lady pedestal. You do not get to ask that. That is none of your business. I literally audibly laughed at my desk when Nesta and Elaine were getting into it at that meeting about, you know, Braylon, or however you say the queen's name, and the god that lives in the lake. They were like talking about it when Az came back, and Nesta and Elaine were like going at it, and Nesta went, "Look who's interesting at last," and I was like, that's something I would say to Elaine, because I don't hate Elaine, but I just find her bland in my eyes. No hate to anyone who loves Elaine, but I just find her bland, and maybe that's just because we haven't seen her, but I have called her tree number 4, because that's about how I equate her in the lineup of my favorite characters. She's just not my favorite. Oh, this whole we're even now and it's just sex thing, I'm like, could you guys stop it? Like, you both have feelings for each other. It's both confusing, but also Cassian, like, you're just gonna leave every time, and like, every time. It really seems like you only want Nesta for one thing, and I know that's not true, but in my mind, that's how I would feel, and that's how I feel like Nesta's gonna feel, and I just, ugh. The silver flame scene. I was driving home, and I was having like a full-on like freak out. I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And then Rhysand's there. Rhysand goes into the dream. He comes out. He's all distraught. He's like, her power is death. Her power is death. Cassian pulls her out of the silver flame, freak out, and I just was like, bro. I did not know what was going to happen. I was very scared for Nesta and Cassian and all of them. And I'm just not okay with, I want to know more about her powers. I feel like we need to hone in on her powers more. But in that, I think finally Rhys has some sympathy for Nesta and her trauma that she's going through. The baby has wings, and we all know what that means. And the second that Rhys said the baby had wings, I was like, shit. So I have a feeling if the baby's born, which I assume at the end of this book, we're about to have a Breaking Dawn Part 2 moment, and little baby boy is about to be the Renesmee of, you know, the Night Court. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to continue reading. I have a lot more to go. And I will check back in with you when I have more updates. I'll try to do not as long-winded updates, and I'll try to go more like every 100 pages, but because I work, it's hard, because I can't like sit at my desk and talk about this when I want to. But yeah, that's all I have for right now. Hello. I wanted to come out here and talk about some of my thoughts on A Court of Silver Flames. I am on chapter like 56, I think, and I just have some thoughts, and I just wanted to talk about those. I'm not gonna go over like everything, but I really like that Nesta dances. Oh, it just makes me feel so happy, because I dance and I really have a special place for dance and you know, music in my heart, so that makes me really happy. Let's talk about the Amber and Nesta showdown in Amren's apartment. Holy crap, I wanted Nesta to like F Amren up. Like, Amren's making me so angry in this book, and maybe she has always made me angry, but she's just pissing me off. But then Feyre comes in, and Nesta reveals the secret about the wings and the baby and Feyre, and I was like, Nesta, I know that you're pissed off. I know that you're angry. And I literally understand where she's, like, she uses this as a spitefulness, and like, I've done that, I do it, and I know I work on it all the time, but like, when you're so angry, you just spew out anything. I don't have a filter when I'm angry. So I like understood, but I was like, oh, I'm so upset that I filmed a couple videos and I was just like, I'm angry. And then this whole scene in the prison with Larkin, the like god that they kill. Oh my gosh, I was so nervous. I was angry. I was like, OMG, like OMG. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I have to get back into work, but yeah. And now she's gonna go dance with Eris, and I'm like, I hope that Nesta and Cassian, this drives them from the jealous rage, and that, you know, it drives them into admitting what they feel about each other, because they both feel so deeply for each other. And I'm just like, y'all need to figure it out. So yeah, I like the line that Nesta said, that no one will ever understand that she was born with these claws and teeth that she was never able to use, and now she wields them in a bad power, but no one will ever understand how she can hate and love so deeply. And I resonated with that so much, because I feel like that is that's how I feel. I feel so deeply in my life, and it's one way or the other. There's no black and white in my life. So I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed being able to relate to her on that. The other thing is Emery and Moore. I don't know if that was a hint that they're going to get together, but I'm so for it. Please let that be Moore's mate, and like, or just like, let Moore be happy with Emery. I think it'd be so sweet and cute, and I want that. I don't know if in the end of the book that will be something that happened, or we're gonna get a Moore and like a Moore book or a Moore novella, but like, could you imagine Emery and Moore? They just sound cute together. I need it to happen. I need to talk about this book. I literally wrote a sticky note so I would remember what I needed to talk about after I got off of work. First, let's talk about the box. In the box, in the solstice present, it was a first print little miniature book that he threw into the Sierra, the river. It's at the bottom of an ocean. Why the hell would you do that, Cassian? It's a first print book. That's like history. What the hell are you doing? Boy, I wanted to beat the crap out of him right then and there. Second thing, I cried today at my desk, and someone asked me if I was okay, and I had to explain that I was just listening to an audiobook, and it was just really emotional, and I was crying because of that. Looked at me like I was crazy, but whatever. That love confession, Nesta baby, I love you. Like, she just really didn't believe that she ever deserved Cassian, and that's so heartbreaking to me, and I love her so much. And the fact that she like knew from the second that they met that they had a connection, it's so sad. The mating bond like never clicked until this book, but I have a hard time believing that. I think it clicked in ACOSF, and they just like were ignoring it. So yeah. The Blood Right is the Hunger Games Fae edition. That shit's scary. I don't want to participate in it, but Nesta is that bitch in it, and I am so proud of her. She's such a badass. Emery and Gwen, badass. And oh, those battle scenes when they just like take all the males out, I was like, yes, queens. And then Gwen and Emery win, and I was like, I love you. But with that being said, we learned Gwen's story, and I started tearing up immediately, and my heart just like breaks for that. I love Gwen so much, and I didn't think we were gonna get Gwen's story like fully, but the fact that we did, and like, it broke my heart. And then I had to stop the audiobook before I was even done with work, because the Fae Sand baby scenes are happening right now where Feyre's dying, and they're trying to do like a C-section on Feyre right now, and she's dying, and Reese knows it, and I couldn't handle it. I know I'm going to sob uncontrollably, so I would rather do that in my car rather than with all of my coworkers. So on the way home, I'm going to listen to the rest, and then I will give you an update. If I just start sobbing and crying, I will just record that for you. But yeah, I'm going to drive home now and listen to the rest of this really sad book where pretty sure, I don't think they're going to die, but I think there's something's going to happen. But we're having a breaking dawn moment, y'all. I gotta go. Like I was trying to start saying is, I finished the book. I like have so many emotions about finishing the book. I will probably do like an entire recap at the end. Like, this book means so much to me. I've already said that. I just really loved this book, and I loved Nesta's journey. I know a lot of people had some issues with it and said it wasn't perfect. In my eyes, it was perfect. I might say differently once I read it again. But yeah, there were flaws. I can acknowledge that, but at the same time, everyone's journey is different. But my question is this a standalone, or is this a leading into a series? Because our big bad had no, that's definitely not it. The big bad that was in the lake, that was like controlling the queen, he's still at large, and I'm just confused with if sorry, my dogs are running around like crazies. I'm just confused that if that's gonna lead into a bigger story. Also, I got no confirmation on the Moore Elaine situation. But like, also, what about Gwen? Because I feel like there was some tension there too. Also, I feel like there's so much more of the Moore story we could get into. So I don't know. I also wanted more from the mating of Cassian and Nesta, although I do like how it wrapped up. But that's all I have to say. These dogs are driving me absolutely insane. He's still a puppy. He's only one, so I'll give him that, but he is a wild beast right now. Okay, so let's do this wrap up of A Court of Silver Flame. I have it here in my hand. I still haven't taken the Target sticker off of this one, but it has been over a month now. It is currently March 17th, so I've had a lot of time to just kind of mull over this story, and there are certain things that I'm not a big fan of. I feel like at the end, Nesta was kind of thrown into a subdued version of herself to be with Cassian, which I'm not a big fan of. She gives up her powers to save Feyre and everything, which was fine, but then I feel like the mating bond was just automatically, you know, accepted when she was so against it for so long. And I understand changing your mind, but it was kind of a sudden shift, so I think that was one thing that I really didn't like. But other than that, I really enjoyed the story. I'm excited to see where these novels are going. I've heard rumor, and I don't know where this came from. I think it came from Sarah, that we're getting a book all about Elaine. I'm not the biggest fan of Elaine, but if she is going to arc into not being just, you know, 800 pages of gardening tips, then I'll be fine with it. I think that Elaine is arcing into a place that maybe is a villain arc, and I would be really excited for that because, you know, she is forced into being Fae. She's forced into a mating bond that she doesn't necessarily want, which we don't get why she doesn't want to be with Lucian. To me, Lucian isn't a bad guy. He's been put through a lot in his life, but I don't think Lucian's a bad guy, and I don't understand Elaine's, you know, she just ignores him and doesn't give him a chance because Azriel's there. And then if you read the Azriel story, I had a friend send it to me, you know, you get the chance to see Azriel and Elaine together, and I don't like them together. I've never liked them together. I've never been a fan of putting Azriel with Elaine because I felt like it was just too much of a pretty package of like Cassian and Nesta and Feyre and Rhys and Azriel and Elaine, like all the Bat Boys with all the Archeron sisters, just wasn't my tea. My issue was Rhys forbidding or banning Azriel from seeing Elaine or pursuing Elaine when that's not really his business. But we also get the Azriel and Gwen moment, which I'll get to in a moment. But I can see Elaine going into a villain arc where she's constantly being put into this like box of Elaine's so innocent, Elaine has to be protected, Elaine has to do this, and I can see us moving into it, maybe an arc of her being a villain or being, you know, opposed to the circle or something like that, which I would find very interesting, and I find that her character would be more interesting because right now all she does is garden, and like I don't even know if she can still see the future or if she's still a seer, I don't know. But I feel like her entire character is being innocent, being a gardener, and having a maybe relationship with Az, which I'm not a big fan of. But speaking of Azriel, my baby, I love Azriel, if you don't know. I've kind of noticed that I might be more of an Azriel girl than a Cassian girl after reading Cassian's story. Like, I love Cassian, but I love Azriel because I think Azriel, I don't know, I am excited to see where this whole tension between him and Gwen are going. But I want it to be done right because I've seen a lot of people go on about, you know, he's gonna save her from her trauma because he saved her originally, and I'm like, no, 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 no. What we're not gonna do is make Gwen's trauma and dependent on Azriel saving her. I think she can save herself. Not that she needs to be saving, but I think she can heal herself. I'm not opposed to the Azriel Gwen thing. I think that they would be a power couple, but yeah, I want it to be done right, and I think Sarah can do it right. But I'm excited for that to happen because I'm not sure if it's an Elaine book or an Elaine and Azriel and Gwen book. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen there, but I will be interested to see where it goes. I just love her, and I hope that we get to see her more, and I'm so excited. Also, Moore and Emery, oh my gosh, like, I feel like that's something that's gonna happen. Maybe they're gonna be brought into the inner circle because they are Valkyrie now. And yeah, I'm just super excited to see where this world goes because obviously this story is not over because the big bad was not defeated. And maybe Elaine's gonna be the big bad, and I would be very happy with that. But that's kind of my wrap up for this book, and I will see you next time in Wonderland, loves. Bye.